If you're not following me on Instagram, make sure that you go ahead and do so at JT_Sports. So a couple of days ago, I made an Instagram reel giving my thoughts on the Ravens' decision to put the non-exclusive franchise tag on Lamar Jackson. And I said that, look, if Lamar Jackson is truly looking for a fully guaranteed contract, no NFL team is going to give him that because he's been injured during the second half of the year for the Baltimore Ravens for 2 consecutive years in a row. These owners were really pissed when the Cleveland Browns gave DeShaun Watson that fully guaranteed contract. Therefore, in order for you to get one, you got to be completely flawless. You got to ball out and you got to be able to stay healthy, because if not, these teams are going to look for any reason not to give you a DeShaun Watson kind of deal. And for Lamar Jackson, unfortunately, with him getting injured once again and missing the second half of the year for the Baltimore Ravens for back-to-back years in a row, the Ravens had all the ammo that they needed to not give Lamar Jackson a DeShaun Watson kind of contract. And I thought that I was being very reasonable and very fair when I said this. But boy, when the comments started to roll in, I'm not even going to hold you. I had to log out of Instagram for a couple of hours because the kind of criticism that I was receiving for this take was criticism that, to be honest with you, I wasn't really prepared to handle at the time. You see, I've gotten pushback in the past for certain takes, but I've never had people calling me a coon or Uncle Ruckus, all because I said that no team is going to give a fully guaranteed contract to a guy who has a history of being unable to stay healthy, especially late in the season. And I thought that was a pretty fair point. But people were really upset with that. And there were people saying that, well, JT, Lamar Jackson is better than DeShaun Watson, and DeShaun Watson is getting a fully guaranteed deal, so should Lamar Jackson. And yes, you're right. I agree with you. Lamar Jackson should get a fully guaranteed deal because he is better than DeShaun Watson. But guess why he doesn't have one? Because he's been injured for 2 straight seasons in a row. And then you have people saying, well, JT, it's not Lamar Jackson's fault he got injured. The Ravens asked him to do so much. He has to be Superman. And you're right about that. But guess what? These NFL teams don't give a damn how much they use you. If you get hurt, you get hurt. They're not going to be like, okay, we're still going to give you a fully guaranteed deal even though you've been hurt the last 2 years. It's because we've used you for so much. No, that's not how these NFL teams operate. I know that's how we wanted to operate, but that's not how the NFL works. Any player who's been injured during a contract year, it's always negatively affected their contract negotiations. People keep saying injuries are a part of football. Yes, they are. But you better hope you don't have one during your contract year because it's going to hurt you. It's always been like this. That's always been the business of the NFL. People keep saying, well, JT, he should get a fully guaranteed deal because he's a former MVP. Yeah, Lamar Jackson is a former MVP. But can you tell me when that was? Lamar won MVP in 2019. It is currently March 11th, 10:12 p.m. Eastern Time in the year 2023. What has Lamar Jackson done since he won MVP? He's been injured for 2 straight seasons in a row. And although that may be unfair to Lamar Jackson, it's unfair, JT. Just because Lamar Jackson got injured, he should still get what he wants, man. You're right. But guess what? Life isn't fair. It isn't fair that I have to live the rest of my life in student debt, all because I choose to go to college to want to provide myself with a better future for not only me and my family. It's not fair that some of you guys have to wake up and clock into a 9 to 5 every day. But guess what? That's life. Life isn't fair. Life isn't roses. So therefore, for Lamar Jackson, he gets injured. during his contract year, guess what happens? The Ravens have all the ammunition that they need to not give him what he's asking for. You can complain about it being not fair all you want to, but guess what? That's the league. That's the NFL. These owners are looking for every single reason not to pay you. And if you're an owner and you're a CEO, you probably will feel the same way. Check this out. You're in the car. You're in the car lot, right? And you have a Lamborghini and you got a Porsche. The Lamborghini costs $400,000. The Porsche costs $350,000, right? Now, of course, everybody wants the Lamborghini because it's the Lamborghini, the name recognition, plus it looks nice. But this Lamborghini, though, has some issues with the engine. And it also isn't reliable. It has a history of breaking down and whatnot. So therefore, what car are you going to go with? Are you going to go with the Lamborghini and pay more money for it, even though it has a history of not being reliable in the past? Or are you going to pay for the more reliable vehicle? You're going to pay for the more reliable vehicle. So therefore, if you're an NFL owner and you have a quarterback who's been injured for 2 straight seasons in a row, why are you going to commit that kind of money to a guy who you're not going to be able to trust to stay healthy year after year? And you can say, well, I trust Lamar. Let's be honest, man. We've seen quarterbacks with Lamar Jackson skill sets in the league for several decades. And anytime they start getting injured, they continue to get injured. Come on, man. Y'all making it seem like this is something that we haven't seen before. You see, I love Lamar Jackson just as much as you guys love Lamar Jackson. I feel if Lamar Jackson never got injured, he would have gotten a fully guaranteed contract. But guess what? Since he got injured, the Ravens had everything they needed not to give him one if that's truly what he was asking for. You can complain about it not being fair. You can say Lamar Jackson is better than DeShaun Watson. You can say when Lamar Jackson is healthy, he's a winner. He wins 75% of the games that he plays in. But guess what? If you can't stay on the field and you can't stay available, that's always going to be one of the biggest knocks that teams are going to have against you getting what you want. If you're an employee at your job and you constantly miss days or you constantly call out and then you ask your boss for a raise, do you think you're going to get a raise? Hell no. You know what you're going to get? You're going to get cussed out and you're going to have your boss send you to get the F out of his face before he ends up firing you. If me and you call out of work for several days, guess what happens? We don't get paid and we get fired. So therefore, for Lamar Jackson, no team is going to give him a fully guaranteed contract with him being injured for 2 consecutive years in a row. Well, JT, Geno Smith and Daniel Jones got paid. Neither one of those guys were asking for Lamar Jackson kind of money. Neither one of those guys were asking for fully guaranteed money. All Daniel Jones wanted was 40-something million a year. He got it. He didn't get a fully guaranteed deal. Neither did Geno Smith. Lamar Jackson is asking for a deal that not a lot of quarterbacks are going to be able to ask for. Does he deserve it? He should. But the reason why he doesn't have it is due to how the NFL business works. A lot of you guys look at it and you say, that's Lamar freaking Jackson. Give that man everything he wants, but you don't truly understand the business side of the NFL. And for those of you guys who don't grasp the concept of the business side of the NFL, that's why people call you a casual. Because casuals look at players and they say, yeah, he should get paid, but they don't look into the business side of the NFL. And even when you pay Lamar Jackson, are you really going to be willing to pay a guy who's been injured and hasn't proved that he can stay healthy for 2 years in a row, and he's going to allocate over $50 million a year in cap space? If you give Lamar Jackson a fully guaranteed contract, do you know that that would take up roughly about 20 to 23% of the Baltimore Ravens salary cap annually? How are you going to be able to surround him with more weapons? How are you going to give him a better offensive line if you are allocating so much resources to him that you can't afford to improve at other positions? So it's like, I get why people were so upset, but at the same time, I would pay Lamar Jackson if he was to stay fully healthy. But at the same time, a lot of you guys have to put your business hats on. And you guys know that paying a quarterback that has a history of being unable to stay healthy doesn't end up going all too well. You're not going to pay for a vehicle that has a history of being unreliable. That just is what it is. And you can complain and yell and gripe about it being unfair all you want to, but that's just how this league operates. Name me one player that's had a history of being injury prone that ended up getting a contract that made them the highest paid at the position. You can't find too many. You can find outliers, but it's not something that happens on a consistent basis. I hope Lamar Jackson gets a fully guaranteed contract. But if Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, and Trevor Lawrence are able to stay healthy, they're going to end up getting it. I bet you that Joe Burrow ends up coming close or ends up getting a fully guaranteed contract from Cincinnati. You want to know why? Because not only does he have the talent to deserve getting one, but also if he can stay healthy, then the Bengals aren't going to have no ammunition that they can use against Joe Burrow and not giving him a fully guaranteed deal.